daughter.
Hello, and this is my mom.
Hi. And this is Mother and Daughter Reviews, where we compare and contrast our differing viewpoints on music, movies, and books, and
basically anything we feel like. Today we're going to be talking about our different ideas about Wonder Woman and Spider-Man. And we're going to be starting with our expectations. So, what did you think about Wonder Woman going in?
Well, my expectations were different. Going into Wonder Woman, I was expecting a lot more. I expected it to be a really good movie because I had heard a lot of good things about it. But then with Spider-Man, I was not expecting it to be very good because I had never liked Spider-Man very much, and I was expecting it to be more like how I feel about most comic book movies, which is not great. What about you?
Well, okay, this is going to sound really bad, but I went into Wonder Woman thinking that it was going to suck. Okay, all I had heard about Wonder Woman was that, oh yes, this is going to be the feminist movie to end all feminist movies, and it's going to be so impacting our children's children will be talking about this movie. And so I immediately thought, no, wait, well, that's going to suck. So I went in with very low expectations, and but it was really different than how I felt about Spider-Man, you know? Like, I went into Spider-Man thinking, this is going to be great. I am so excited. I cannot wait to see this movie. What did you think about Spider-Man?
I really liked it. It surpassed my expectations, whereas Wonder Woman did not meet my expectations.
Yeah, but did you go into Spider-Man thinking that, or?
No, I thought it was not going to be good at all, and I was very surprised.
So we're exact opposites.
Right.
Okay, great.
So what about setting?
Setting. Well, you're doing, like, with Wonder Woman and Spider-Man, they're two very different films. I mean...
So why don't you talk about the setting for Spider-Man, and I'll talk about the setting for Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Nose goes. You first.
Okay. All right, so the setting for Wonder Woman I didn't feel worked very well. I think that it was set during a time period that the writers at least were not as familiar with, and so there were a lot of moments of anachronisms.
Kind of hard to go back in time.
And the setting just did not feel as well constructed as I thought it would. One particular example that I'll bring up is the moment where Chris Pine comes to the island and he is in the bathing room.
The magical watery bathing room.
Gal Gadot comes in and sees him nude. And the reaction for him was what I felt like was anachronistic, because for the time period, World War I ended in 1918. So for that time period, men would not have been as accepting of that kind of brazenness or familiarity, and it just didn't feel authentic.
Certain things are right out. This definitely bad.
Right. So for setting, I would say that I think Wonder Woman was not as successful as it should have been. What do you think about Spider-Man?
Okay, every part where Wonder Woman, I think, didn't succeed, Spider-Man did. And my reason for this is that, okay, Spider-Man, you didn't have to come up with anything new. You had a very authentic situation, a very believable situation. You had a young boy, a teenage boy, in a teenage environment. He wasn't going anywhere that was just like, wow, that's so strange, like to Antarctica or Egypt, G.I. Joe. But everything that happened in it was something that you could believe happened to a young teenage boy in high school. They had him go to a party. They had him go to the Washington Monument on a school field trip. I mean, things made sense. And I think in setting terms, that only made the film stronger. I enjoyed it.
I agree.
Next, we're going to talk about cinematography.
Okay, so you go first this time. Why don't you talk about the cinematography in Wonder Woman? What did you think?
Okay, in all seriousness, cinematography is not something I'm very well versed at, so I'm not going to say a lot. But I really didn't care much for the cinematography in Wonder Woman. And what I'm talking about specifically is The CGI, a lot of it, guys. There was a lot. And I mean, I know you have to do it in some places to get away with things, and I myself think CGI is pretty cool. But it's just, about the authenticity part, where you're in a setting, it's World War II, I didn't think you'd need a lot of it.
Oh, well, and don't forget to talk about that one you were telling me about the stopping and starting and stopping and starting.
There's that also thing where in the middle of an action scene, everything starts to go really slow. It's a slow motion of death. And they did that a lot in Wonder Woman. It's where it's like the action's going, your heart's racing, and all of a sudden they go stop, and you're like, wait, no, help, guard after it, please.
Yeah.
There was a lot of moments like that in Wonder Woman, and I understand it was the director's choice and all, but it really didn't do a lot for the action scenes. Just for me, it kind of made me disengage from the movie. It threw me out, and I just wasn't. I mean, I wasn't really invested in it to begin with, but that just made it that much worse.
Right.
All right, what did you think about the cinematography in Spider-Man?
Well, I thought it was good, but the one beef I do have with Spider-Man is, unfortunately, with cinematography, because, once again, you've got the CGI thing, and I didn't notice it too badly. But my problem was the shaky cam. And they used that. Now, I had to give them credit. They didn't overdo it like some movies do.
She's just really
sensitive. I can't watch found footage movies at all.
Very sensitive.
Everything is shaky, or like the beginning of the Hunger Games where the whole movie is just shaky.
Okay,
I can't do that kind of thing.
To be fair, I don't think anybody liked the shaky cam in the Hunger Games. Please, can I get a hands up? Nobody enjoyed that?
In this, they try something new where they have him filming it on his phone, filming his experiences. I thought that was cute. Which is clever, but it's still, I think it was more that it was upsetting my equilibrium. But I was at least glad that they didn't have that much of it. So that was really my only big problem with cinematography. Otherwise, I think they did a pretty good job. I do think that the parts with Michael Keaton as the villain, that his CGI felt very realistic. It seemed to have weight. It seemed, his suit seemed to be clunky and heavy, and I don't know if that's just his great acting skills or really good CGI, but either way, I thought that was very impressive.
Very nicely
my
done.
real big beef is only with the shaky cam. Everything else I'm completely fine with. So what about the acting?
I love the acting.
Here we'll have our
this time
cheat sheets. So you get Spider-Man and I get Wonder Woman.
I get Spider-Man. Spider-Man rules. Suck it.
So I'll just start with Wonder Woman. And I mean, I thought the acting, as far as just the skills of the actors, I thought were really good. Gal Gadot did a great job being Wonder Woman. It was a little bit shaky with how convincing she was being in London. I did feel like that, but that's probably
but you can
more
mark that
story
off as a script problem,
right?
And you can't blame that on her.
I don't think that was really her as much as it was the script.
She was wide-eyed
and Chris Pine, I think Chris Pine did okay. I wasn't. Once again, I think my main problem is maybe not with his acting so much as with the script, because like I said before, with the setting, I just felt like it wasn't convincing. Now, I don't think that was him not being convincing necessarily. I think it was more the script not being very convincing. The side characters, the different actors for the side characters, I think did a great job. Robin Wright as Antiope did a great job. Connie Nielsen as Hippolyta did a great job. I mean, I think all of the actors did really well. The only slight niggling problem I have with the acting in Wonder Woman was, unfortunately, the ending scene between Gal Gadot's character and between Sir Patrick, David Thewlis, and I'm sorry if I say that wrong. The guy who played Lupin in the Harry Potter series.
Oh, he was great in that, by the way.
Because her acting just wasn't convincing. She didn't feel like there was a sense of struggle going on in her expressions. And so I didn't feel invested in that moment as much as I would have done had she been a bit more expressive. And I understand that she's portraying a goddess, and so there's supposed to be some reserve there, some distance. But I would have liked to have seen the mental struggle or the spiritual struggle going on there.
Either on her face or on screen.
Right. On whether or not she wanted to actually annihilate mankind with Ares or not. And I wasn't really convinced by that as much. But as far as all of the other characters, I they were fun. A lot of the side characters were fun. I wouldn't say that any of these performances were just absolutely, historically breathtaking, but they were fun.
Speaking of a historically breathtaking performance, guys, okay, hold on, I gotta find it. Yeah, Tom Holland. Big shout out to you. I love you. I say that in a fangirly way, but seriously, great acting. My favorite part in Spider-Man Homecoming was him under the rubble.
Oh,
wow.
Gosh.
I am serious.
Was so
in
good.
all the portrayals of Spider-Man, you're having these guys acting either older than they are or younger than they are. And there's always something that's a little bit off about the performances. And it wasn't the case in this.
I know.
This was
great.
fantastic. Because when he was under that rubble, I identified with him.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that was something I would do. I would be screaming for help. I wouldn't know what to do when I was in that situation, and neither did he.
And I could see him as a teenage boy. I mean,
he
I
was.
honestly thought he was until I read online that he was 21. I
22.
thought,
He's 22.
Well,
And
I
then
thought he was a teenage boy because he was so convincing.
Well, that's the thing about the acting in all of this is that they didn't do too much or too little. Tom Holland played a geeky boy who has these superpowers. Now, having these superpowers didn't automatically make him the coolest guy ever. And one of my favorite things about this is that he didn't start being all aloof and
and dark, like
I'm gonna be
with
Batman. I'm so serious. I can't have fun. No, he's like, let's go build the Death Star. Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Was it the Death Star? Or was it? Yeah, it was the Death Star.
Lego Death Star.
The Lego Death Star. And you know what I'm gonna do with my suit? I'm gonna put it on, and I'm gonna stand in front of the mirror and say cool things.
Yeah.
And he did awkward so well. So I mean, I'm not gonna go on about it forever, but let's just say he
Tom
played
Holland.
a good
Kudos to you,
teenager. He did. And now moving on to the other ones, I've got nothing but good things to say, really.
Oh, Michael Keaton.
Oh,
great.
yes! Michael Keaton, really good villain. Best villain ever. I sound like a fangirl in all this because I'm not really saying a lot of technique things or whatever. But the point is that Michael Keaton played sincerity well. When he punched that guy in the beginning of the movie, I felt the satisfaction everywhere. Because, like I said, one of the biggest things about this movie is that it was something that people could relate to. I could relate to how Spider-Man felt, and I could relate to how the villain felt. Because, honestly, in that situation, I would have punched the guy too, or I would have seriously wanted to.
And you said you liked Tony Revolori's performance too as Flash.
Oh, yes.
I think he did a good job with that.
I think
and Marissa Tomei.
Yeah,
as May
a really
Parker.
good thing about the Flash in this one is that he wasn't so much a physical bully as a mental bully, and I think that's something a lot more kids can relate to nowadays with the cyberbullying age, and particularly females.
And it was nice to see Marissa Tomei in something. We haven't seen her. I looked it up, and she was in, of course, Captain America, the Civil War, but I mean, I can't remember the last thing she was in.
She
before
really does
that,
have a fresh take on Auntie May, and I think that's really cool. A lot of the things I can say about Spider-Man Homecoming is that it was fresh, it was new, it was a new take, a real new take on Spider-Man, something that nobody had seen before, and that's kind of why it was so fantastic. It was something everyone could relate to, and that's where I'm going to stop on that, and we will move on to story.
Story, okay, so go ahead and why don't you start this time and talk about Wonder Woman's story? Because I think that's where we both kind of agree that there were some definite difficulties with the story.
If you can't already tell, I'm not really that psyched about Wonder Woman. Like I said, I went into it with everyone around me telling me it was going to be the age-all, end-all to feminists everywhere. It was going to be fantastic. And I just went out feeling very disappointed, to be honest. Because everything that Wonder Woman did wasn't something I would picture an Amazonian woman doing. honestly. I mean, sure, she was a little bit surprised when she went into World War II scenario with bombs and everything, but it just never really felt like she was the dominant woman in the room. And she was the dominant person anywhere. And that's one of the things. She's grown up on this island, okay, filled with women. No one else. Just women. And you'd think that with all those women, she would become very self-assured, very important, and thinking, because she's a princess as well, I am the one you should be listening to. Don't you dare disobey me. But then she goes in out there, and it's like, where did all that go?
Yeah,
did you have
you
that?
told me something interesting after we had watched that. You were saying that the story for you didn't really start until Chris Pine showed up. That it all had to go through the masculine view.
Yeah, that was the thing. I mean, you've got Diana, and she's thinking about these things. She wants to be the warrior. She wants to save the world, and blah, 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 blah. But she's stuck on this island through the whole thing, and she doesn't really actually start doing anything until a guy shows up. And I think they kind of ripped the rug out from the feminist viewpoint right there. Right at the beginning. It was like, let's all celebrate womankind. There's a female superhero, but she can't do anything about it. Out a guy, have fun, bye. You're just like, what? Wait a minute. And then at the end where she can annihilate the whole world, what does she focus on? True love. And between a man and a woman.
That's what I was going to say.
Not true love for that woman holding her child. Not true love for everyone she's helped save throughout this entire journey. Not true love for the people on her island, her mother, her aunt. No, none of that. Just true love between a girl and a boy. And get this, what happened to the boy again? He flew up in an airplane.
And
what is this reminding me of? Airplane blowing up. Somebody left behind. God, if it could only come to me. No, that's not it. Hold on. Oh, wait! I'm sorry, but, like, I'm not trying to bash Wonder Woman. I'm really not. But all I'm saying is it didn't live up to my expectations.
It could have been a stronger story.
It could have been anything besides that. Okay, moving on. Talking about the better version, in my opinion.
Well, and in Spider-Man, they stuck with a story that I think made sense. Now, I've heard a lot of people complain about Spider-Man's storyline by saying that it spent, the first half of the movie was just nothing but watching Spider-Man just kind of sitting around and not doing much. But I do, the reason why I like that, rather than what they could have done, which is just have it be non-stop action through the whole thing, because we've seen that. When you have these comic book movies, a lot of times it's like 2 minutes in and boom, the action starts and it doesn't stop until you get to the rolling of the credits.
The Spider-Man arms, life, death.
This felt like real life. It felt like real life. Okay, you're going to have a lot of time that you're going to spend just going to school, sitting around, being bored, hanging with friends. This is what high school people do, and this is also a perspective that we don't
build up that alternate person, right?
Right, and the thing is that somebody told me that what they say a lot about Marvel is that with Marvel you have superhero characters who are trying to be human, and with I mean, wait a second, that's the other way around.
No,
human characters trying to be superheroes. With DC, what you have is hero characters who are trying to be human. And I think that is true here because you see this very normal, average guy who would have been average in any other situation except, boom, he's given superpowers. So now he's trying to figure out how to be a superhero. Whereas with Wonder Woman, you have just the opposite. You have this woman who's a goddess. She's been given these amazing powers, and she's trying to find her humanity. And I think that's the big difference, and I think that's why Spider-Man's story worked better for me anyway. I was more invested because it was a slow build. You started out easy, you started out slow, you got to know the characters, you got to feel for them.
Things.
You got to see his frustrations with being a young man who isn't taken seriously.
Okay, question though. What was your... Be honest now. when Michael Keaton turned out to be her father. Were you not surprised?
I was completely surprised.
Yeah, I was
and that's what
too.
I'm saying. There were a lot of moments that, because of that slow build and because of the investment we had in the characters, that were surprising. And I felt like, after seeing that moment particularly, I was thinking, why didn't I pick up on that? That's such
I was sitting here berating myself. I was like,
that should have been so obvious, but I think because I was so invested in the story that I wasn't pulled out by thinking, oh, this is just broadcasting it so much.
I was too busy seeing it from Spider-Man's perspective.
Yes, exactly. And so when it got to those moments that were shocking, and
they
were shocking, they were unexpected.
Now,
just like I didn't expect him to start crying in that rubble that we were talking about earlier in that one scene.
Yeah.
I did not expect that. And so
you just expected him to push himself up.
Yeah, because that's what you see in every other comic book movie. You see them just overcome things so quickly. But in this one, that was such an impressive moment, because it reminded me a lot of Inside Out, when she's down in and she sees the memory and it just dissolves, and I was in tears. It was kind of like that. I really felt invested so much in the character that when it got to that moment, I really felt something for that. And that was surprising to me. And like she said about the reveal with Michael Keaton was very interesting. I loved the way that they developed Michael Keaton's character to where he wasn't just your average villain.
I hate the world for no reason. I've always hated the world.
Or they will always have a villain that just one bad thing happens to them and boom, I'm a villain. I saw the progression with him where he started out, okay, maybe we just want to keep these things because they've taken away our job and we have to have some way of financing ourselves. And building up to the point to where he's actually shocked when he kills one of his associates, and he's like, I didn't know that was going to do that.
I thought that was the demagnifying gun.
Yeah, and
was that the anti-gravity gun?
And then you see him getting to the point where he's threatening Peter, but you can see that progression. It's a slow progression.
And therefore, when he starts threatening Peter, you actually believe it.
Yeah,
you think this is someone who's already done so much for his family. I believe that he is going to.
He's just not going to let it. He's not going to let it
stop. And then at the end, when he doesn't give Peter away, I was really proud of that. I was excited because it made me, instead of hating him completely as a character, I actually came to like him. He's actually one of my favorite villains now. And just to say that though, to contrast about Wonder Woman, I think, like what you were saying, what made Spider-Man so relatable was the fact that he was a human person trying to become something bigger and better and grander. And in the end, he realized that he preferred moving at a slower pace.
Oh, and I love that at the end when he is given the chance to join the Avengers at last, which is what he's worked towards the whole movie. He's working towards that. And then he says, "No, I think I just need to be your average, everyday, good old Spider-Man
for a little while longer."
And that's exactly what I would expect him to do, considering the progression. Because you see him starting out as kind of a little bit cocky because he's got these new superpowers, but then over the course of the movie, he grows and he realizes something about himself. Whereas I felt like in Wonder Woman, what she was at the beginning did not change very much from what she was in the end.
My problem with Wonder Woman was that when she was supposed to have been at her lowest, when she was supposed to have actually lost someone she held very, very dear to her, I didn't buy it.
It wasn't convincing.
It wasn't like the moment in Spider-Man where you looked at him and you thought, that is something I can see happening to me. Mm-hmm. What I looked at in Wonder Woman was that you're completely unrelatable. You're this fantastic woman, blah, 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 and you're not even that...
And the story didn't focus enough upon her, whereas with the Spider-Man story, I felt like the focus was always on him. Even when you had, great actors like Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man come in, I didn't feel like, which I really worried about when I saw the previews for this, I didn't feel like he overwhelmed the story, because it always came back to Peter Parker.
So the end prognosis is that we weren't that crazy about Wonder Woman.
No, it was disappointing.
Yeah, but I would buy it for the shelf though.
They were both good. Let me say this: they were both good. I did enjoy aspects of both movies, But
I like
I
Spider-Man better.
I think that Spider-Man deserves accolades for way exceeding my expectations, at least for a comic book movie, because I was going in there not expecting much at all, and I was completely surprised.
I should have bet on that movie so I'd have gotten money when she was
And
6.
Tom Holland, oh my God, you are awesome. Love you. And
But
but Wonder Woman was not bad. Had some great
also,
acting.
Also, side note to Wonder
not so
Woman, the
great.
actress who played her was pregnant at the time.
Yeah,
So yeah, kudos to you for doing that whole
Yeah,
thing
I didn't know that.
while
She told
being
me
pregnant.
that. I
That
didn't
was
know that.
fantastic.
That's amazing.
I look up to you as a female for doing that.
That was amazing.
So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and please watch again next
and like
time.
us on Facebook and
Share
any other
and
social
all that grand
medias,
stuff.
and
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.